Hello everyone, this is Shlok and I just got done with my BITSoM interview. I'm here to share my interview experience, what happened before the interview, during the interview, and how it finally concluded. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so for starters, what happened is yesterday, that is 18th of February, at 12:26 a.m. I get a mail that you've been shortlisted for the BITSoM interview. But at the get-go, I did not really read that mail. I was in the middle of something when I get a call at 3 p.m., 3:45 p.m. ish, and the lady on the other side says that do you want to? Congratulations, you've been shortlisted for the BITSoM interview, and I've called you regarding the slot booking. So first of all, I was kind of startled because I didn't know I had been shortlisted. So she said, no, you've been shortlisted and maybe you didn't check your mail, but it is here in your inbox. And do you want to book your slot because I'm calling you for that? So I said, sure, what are the kind of slots that are available? She told me a bunch of different time slots, starting from 6 p.m. all the way up till 8 p.m. And I told her, what is the date? So she told me that the date is tomorrow itself. So, that was sort of a thing that really it made me a little hesitant when it came to accepting the booking right away. But I said yes, I wanted to get it over with. So my interview was booked for the 19th of February, which is today, for around 7:10 p.m. So that's the first part of this video, that this is how I got my interview slot allotted. Alright, the next part is I log into my dashboard, my BITSoM portal, and I'm looking at the dashboard, and over there 15 minutes before your scheduled interview time, your join the meeting button would become activated. So at 6:55 p.m. The join the interview button got activated, and I clicked on it, and then a Zoom meeting opened. So I got into the waiting room of that Zoom meeting, and I finally entered the actual Zoom meeting at around 7:20 p.m. So it's very good. It is very well managed in terms of time. I got just a 10-minute delay in terms of what the interview scheduled. The time slot was just a 10-minute delay. So that's the first important part. Now coming on to the panel, there was one female, one male, both around 45 years of age. And the really interesting part that happened over here, and this is the first time that it is ever happening with me this way, is the fact that they both introduced themselves as well. They told me about their profiles, the kind of experience that they had. So the female panelist was an alumni of ISB. She had done her PGP from ISB. And the second gentleman, he had very good corporate experience in Reliance, and they were both very seasoned professionals. And I could see that they at all times maintained their poker face. I did not see any sort of let's say reaction from them for any of my answers, which it could be intimidating for some people, but I need you to be very, very ready for something like this. Now let's get on to the actual interview experience. They gave me their respective introductions, as I've already mentioned, and I thanked them and I told them that this is something that I really appreciate. This has never happened to me before, that the panelists are also giving interviews. So I appreciated them. I made sure that this is something that I noticed and that stood out. So that is the first very important aspect. After that, they asked me what has been my role in the family business, and I told them that I work in client relations, I work in managing operations, and I also manage teams upwards of 10 to 15 technicians and event management personnel. So that is something that I talked about. Then they asked me that have you ever managed conflicts in terms of your team members? That is something I talked about also. So that was the first aspect of this interview. After that, she was quick to ask me that what are your plans after an MBA? Do you want to join your business, or do you want to join a corporate experience, or what exactly are you looking for out of an MBA? So basically the why MBA question, just in a twisted format. So I answered that as well. After that, one interesting question she asked me is something else that you do on a day-to-day basis. So now she's already heard about what I do for a living. She's heard about my passion project also, which is my YouTube journey. So now she wants to learn something more about me. So I talk about another one of my hobbies, that how I really enjoy marathon running. So I talked about that. What is one significant achievement? I ran the Vadodara International Marathon recently. I talked about that, and a particular milestone that I'm looking forward to in this journey as well. So I talked about that also. So that is the next important part of of this video. So after this particular section was over, she handed over the interview to the next panelist, which was a male panelist. So more on that in a bit. The next panelist asked me about that are there any certification courses that I've done in the recent past. So I told him that I have done a course in Excel for business specialization a couple of years back, and I also told him that I learned about pivot tables, I learned about conditional formatting, and I told him a few more tools that are specific to Excel. So that was the first thing. But then he pointed out, okay, that was a couple of years ago, but what have you done recently? So I told him that I haven't done any certification courses such, but I've been learning thoroughly how to do video editing, how to master the craft of lighting or audio and so on. So I talked a little bit about that, and then he was sort of satisfied or not, I couldn't really tell. But that ended that question. After that, he asked me some business related questions. He asked me that how do you evaluate a particular market? Let's say you want to get into a particular market, what are the criteria you look at before entering the market? So here I brought in my go-to market strategy, my GTM strategy, all that I knew about that particular domain of marketing. I talked about that, and then finally towards the end of the interview, the interviewer asked me ki what are the other calls that you have. So I told them what the other calls that I had, and they asked me the preference list, that what is your first, second, third preference. I told them that as well. There you need to be absolutely honest. Don't go there and say ki I want to go to BITSoM even if you have way better calls. Do not do that at all. Then finally they asked us, do you have any questions for us? On this also I have an interesting take. You don't need to ask any questions if you don't have any specific questions. Don't ask questions just because somebody told you that it would look nice. If you don't have questions, don't ask questions. That is what my take is, and I didn't ask them any questions. So with that said, that was the end of the interview. So finally, what is my final take on the interview? So the first aspect is it is going to be heavily dependent upon what you have done so far on your SOP and on your introduction, and the questions are sort of going to be in a way that they would want to get to know you. There is no grilling of any sort. They would not cross question. They would definitely cross question you, but not in a grilling sort of manner. I wasn't even asked about my corporate experience, and nothing about finance, nothing about past academics, nothing about GK as well. So that is the first important key takeaway from my BITSoM interview. So this should help out anyone who has their BITSoM interview coming up. All right, so that's a little bit from my side. I have one very important thing that I want to talk about, and that is the fact that we've hit 3,000 subscribers. I have no words. I can only say thank you, and that's what I'm going to do. That is exactly what I'm going to do. With that said, I've also started sort of a one-on-one outreach, if you will. A link of that will be down below in the pinned comment section. Yeah, some new content ideas. I'm going to make a new video about economics 102. Then I want to cover sort of the current affairs that are happening in the AI space. I want to talk about that as well. And last but not the least, I'm really conflicted if I should make a consulting 101 video, which is going to talk about SWOT analysis, Pestel's 5 forces, Pestel analysis, Porter's 5 forces model, and all of those different strategy frameworks. Or it could be an HR 101 where I talk about the basics of human resource management. So please let me know, which kind of content do you want to see further after this. With that said, that's a little bit from my side, and bye-bye.